What's up, everybody? Real Rendezvous back in the house. I'm Hunter. That's Brett.
Hi.
What's going on, Brett?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. You're exactly right. That concludes today's episode.
Bye, guys. All right. So, for the socials.
Yeah, wrap it up. We're done.
No, I've been vibing. I got a nice trip coming up in a couple weeks.
Hell yeah.
Going up to DC to see Ninja Sex Party live. Shout out Ninja Sex Party.
Shout out Ninja Sex Party. That's an iconic name,
dude,
right there.
I think they hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they rolled the dice. They had 3 die, and they just rolled a ninja, some sex, and a party.
The story they tell is they're like, what are people's 3 favorite things?
I mean, Ninja's definitely in my top 5.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So no doubt about that. What about this spider I just killed, Brett?
Yeah, Hunter, a spider very, very dramatically descended from the ceiling.
I should have let that guy live now that I think
of it. And Hunter, without hesitation, took his notebook and just clamped my guy down.
Well, I dramatically killed him too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he persevered. We opened the notebook to find that he had escaped into the like very middle of the margin where it doesn't fully close. But he made the fatal mistake of crawling out into the open where he was vulnerable, and
yeah.
Hunter went in for the killing blow.
He went out of the frying pan into the fire. Poor man. Anyways.
Now he lives in that book forever. His soul will forever haunt this podcast.
Yeah, he stained this page, so it's kind of gross. Honestly, his carcass is stuck to the paper.
He stained that page in the same way he's now stained our consciousness.
I should have let him bite me. Maybe I could, get some thwip.
Yeah, get some radioactive powers. Well, he wouldn't give you the thwip. Only unless you're
right.
Tobey Maguire, he wouldn't give you the thwip.
We know where I stand on that front. I love me some Tobey. Some O2 Spider-Man here. Speaking of O2, we have a movie that we're reviewing today that also came out in 2002.
And also has the number 2 in it.
Yes, Blade 2.
2. Trinity.
No. Blade double. Blade dose. Blade 2.
Blade I.
I didn't even realize that it also came out. Pretty decent year for comic book movies.
Oh, yeah.
Blade 2 and Spider-Man. That's awesome.
Those were the only 2, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, maybe something we should have researched.
Well,
we're bad at this.
Yeah. Because Spider-Man sort of kicked off the craze. Spider-Man is sort of what...
When did X-Men come out? It came out in 2000.
Did it?
Yeah, I think it was 2000. It kicked it off.
Oh, okay.
I would give X-Men the credit for that.
No, X-Men did come out first because there was a deleted scene where a guy in a Spider-Man costume makes a cameo.
I had no clue.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was meant to be like canon, but there's a behind the scenes video for the first X-Men movie where a guy in a Spider-Man, not the Raimi one, obviously, because that movie hadn't happened yet. Right. A guy in a Spider-Man costume, like the X-Men are all fighting, and he just like shows up in the background and starts fighting with them, and then everyone laughs. So I don't think he was supposed to be there, but
I remember
it's kind of funny.
I remember. I'm pretty sure it was you that you were telling me that the original vision for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was supposed to be like really dark.
Well, not his. James Cameron was making one.
Okay, but Leo was supposed to play. Okay,
yeah.
And it was supposed to be like real dark.
Yeah, and then that project went under. Now I believe there is test footage with Tobey Maguire that used some of the stuff from James Cameron's version, because there is test footage of Tobey like cursing and doing like real violent spider antics.
That's what I've always wanted, is just my Spider-Man to like say fuck.
Yeah, right? I think every character's better when they can say fuck.
I don't know if that's 100% confirmed.
Have you guys ever seen Matilda? Imagine how much better that movie would be.
Dude, don't slander Matilda.
That wasn't slander. I was.
It's great the way it is.
I was offering
as
up.
Is Spider-Man 02.
Well, I've never seen Matilda. I just thought that would be
Matilda.
A funny property to add that.
Matilda is actually
aspect to.
Pretty dark.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's got some creepy
Doesn't
vibes.
she have superpowers?
No.
Is that her thing?
Yeah. She's
telepathy.
Telekinetic. Or yeah, she can.
One of the two. Okay,
like
that is telekinesis. Telepathy is the.
Yeah, I don't think she can do that. She can just pick shit up with her mind like Carrie. Anyways, dark comic book movies that came out in 2002. Blade 2. Me and Brett got together, watched this shit tonight, and pretty excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
I remembered it in a nice, nostalgic exoskeleton prior to watching it tonight. Not as great as what I remember. Spoiler alert there. But still, some very redeeming qualities. And, I was telling Brett, it's a movie I saw in theaters when I was young. It scared me a little bit when I was a young lad. But yeah, we never actually reviewed the original Blade for the podcast, but we've both watched it recently.
Yes.
I love the first Blade. It's probably in my top 5 like Marvel movies.
I thought it was really
maybe
good.
my top 5 comic book movies. It takes itself way more seriously than this one. But before we get to that, Brett, anything you want to dabble in? I know that we each have some shows, some respective shows, some series that we want to talk about, but not just yet on this episode.
Yeah, maybe not today. Mine is She-Hulk. It's still great. I talked about it last episode. Yeah. I have nothing new to add to that conversation. The newest episode dropped yesterday, and it was great still,
Before we record again, maybe if I get a hair up my ass, I'll be able to sit down and watch the rest of She-Hulk.
They're real short.
So I can have some input too.
Yeah.
I loved your tweet about it, that it's like Marvel's Seinfeld.
It is. It is a sitcom at its core.
That sounds fun.
And everyone's upset because it's, not...
Which is hilarious because they'll drag Marvel for just being so formulaic.
Right. And they give us something fun and nice just to take your mind off things. Just sit down, you have a self-contained
a breath of fresh air.
A day with Jen.
Jen. Is that her name?
Just spend a day with Jen. Yeah, Jennifer Walters.
Okay.
And you have a good time. There's really nothing to not like.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I also want to jump on some Andor. Watched the first episode the other night. Could not stay awake to watch the other 2 episodes that were released. But next podcast we record, we'll give some opinions on that shit. Pretty excited about it. The first episode, looking good so far. But like I said, we'll save that for later because I don't have a lot to say about it. Just one episode in. So moving on past that, the one thing that we didn't talk about last pod, because it had yet to happen, D23.
Yeah.
Not any huge reveals.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but...
What do we got, Brett?
Still some neat stuff. We got a trailer for Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
Which looks very neat.
Yes.
It's not actually in black and white, but the trailer was. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah, the trailer was in black and white, but as far as I'm aware, maybe
I'm devastated.
Maybe they'll do a Snyder Cut 2 versions thing, but...
That trailer was so cool
as far as I'm aware, the actual movie... Or I think it's a limited series.
It looks so
is it a movie or is it
No, I think it's a limited series for like Halloween time.
Yeah.
It looks so like Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
With some old black and white, some like inverted camera angles and shit.
But
I like that.
Apparently it is going to be in color. Glorious Technicolor.
I was looking at the cast and there's a lot of like, at least to me, relative unknowns.
Yeah, I'm not I don't know anyone huge that's
the lead, I'm grasping at straws for his name here, but he has a pretty big filmography, but I just hadn't seen anything that he'd been in. So that also entices me. The biggest, most enticing thing for me is the director, the man at the helm, is my dad, Michael Giacchino, who composes like basically anything that's fire right now.
Yeah.
The Batman score, he did The Incredibles. He did Zootopia. He also did No Way Home.
Has he directed anything else
before?
Or
I think this is his first debut. I think it's his debut, which is exciting. I'm nervous because I don't want it to suck, and then people want to drag him.
Yeah.
And then stay in your corner, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like some creative mind branching out, and like I said, I just really love anything he composes.
I saw a tweet from someone that was like, they're doing a thing. They have like a new label for it. It's called like a Marvel Studios feature presentation or something, or like special feature. And I saw a tweet that was like, if this does well and people really like it, they may turn that into sort of like a label for more out there projects that might not fit their way neatly into the larger MCU, but will still.
Well, with them, adopting Deadpool and Deadpool 2 and Logan on the streaming service, these are the first like R-rated films that they have on there. they're going to have to branch out some.
Yeah.
Because they're quite frankly losing money if they don't. So they're smarter than that. You know what I mean?
Well, Deadpool 3, Kevin Feige was pretty foot down on the, we're not changing it. Deadpool 3 is still going to be R-rated. They're still doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
We're keeping our toes out of that for the most part. Yeah. Keep your promises, Feige.
Depending on who you get involved, I could see them making a Deadpool 3 that can still be successful whilst being PG-13, but I don't think anybody wants that.
No. Did you watch that Once Upon a Deadpool?
No.
Which was the PG-13 Christmas special cut of Deadpool 2?
I did not.
I did not either, because I could never figure out where to watch it. It was very hard to find. I'm pretty sure they only made it specifically to air on television.
You know my buddy Cutter? He actually went and saw it in theaters. Him and Sierra did, thinking it was like
actual Deadpool 2?
Yeah. No, they thought it was like a separate film. Not realize, which is just funny because he's like kind of a goofball anyway. But I never watched it. Like I said, it's just not what I want now that they've already given me what I wanted with Deadpool and Deadpool 2. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them not screwing that up. What else do we have from D23?
They touched on Ant-Man, but they didn't show anything to us. That was only for people that were at the show. But
something I didn't write down, maybe just to dabble in real quick. Thunderbolts? Thunder whatever?
Right, they released the roster at D23, which we didn't know about before.
Don't make me feel stupid. I'm saying the right word correctly.
Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah. So I didn't know you were asking.
I was like, now this is like Great Value brand Suicide Squad. What was it called?
Yeah,
again?
Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
Thunderbolts. They released the roster.
Elaborate.
It's a we touched on when they announced the movie,
right,
which was at Comic-Con. I said that I was hopeful for it because it's like I feel like it has the capacity to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they gave us the roster. And a few people are underwhelmed. A lot of people aren't big fans of it. I don't have any strong opinions one way or the other.
See, when I first saw the roster via your Twitter, everybody go follow Breet Pro-Keat. Whenever I first saw the roster, I was excited, but then I saw you post something else about like how you could have exchanged certain characters for other ones, and that would have improved it. Being, do you know the roster off the top of your head?
Yes,
right now?
I do.
Rattle that off.
I do. It's Ghost, Red Guardian. Basically, this movie is. Sorry, I can't talk. I'm very tired.
You're doing great.
I'm trying to wake up. Basically, this movie is like it's pretty much Black Widow 2. Half the roster is just the people from Black Widow.
Let's hope it's better than the first.
But it's Ghost, Red Guardian, Yelena, Bucky, U.S. Agent,
Taskmaster,
that's the one I was forgetting. And then Valerie, but she's less of a member and more of she's their Amanda Waller.
Okay.
And what a lot of people are pointing out is that this is a bunch of people with the exact same powers.
Yeah, you have like
Ghost.
You have like 1A, 1B, and almost 1C between Bucky, U.S. Agent, and Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Well, Bucky and U.S. Agent more so, but like even Taskmaster, like.
Yeah, the only useful member of this team with a superpower is Ghost.
Yeah,
and
it's Jill Valentine.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing to see that characters we thought were going to be on the roster, like Abomination.
Yeah,
and now granted, if you watch She-Hulk, it makes more sense now why he's not on the Thunder. He may still be.
Don't spoil it. I'll watch.
Yeah, no spoilers. But if he's not in the Thunderbolts, She-Hulk explains why he wouldn't be.
That's Tim Roth, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I need to get in on that.
Yeah.
I love me some Tim Roth.
But yeah, I think it's fine. I have no super strong opinions. I don't think Bucky should be on the team, but I'm sure they're going to explain it as like maybe they have some dirt on him.
Yeah.
Or, maybe
without watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I feel like U.S. Agent is already more of a darker side. Not darker side, but more of a complex character to instill in that group.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And him and Bucky being on a team together, if you'd watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it will definitely lead to like a cool Jesus.
You're doing great,
cool
buddy.
dynamic. It'll be neat to see them sort of butt heads over some of the stuff that happened in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and just the fact that this guy who's not Steve, who wasn't chosen by Steve, is parading around in this sort of mantle. But I don't know. I just feel like he wouldn't join a team of mercenaries.
Yeah.
Because his entire arc throughout the entire MCU is getting away from being used as a weapon.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. He's already played his sequence for, good guy becomes bad guy, goes back to good guy. That's already been played through. So we don't need that. I'm hoping, not to say that Bucky would take a back seat, but he kind of needs to.
Yeah, I definitely think he should be very sparingly used.
Right. And maybe he will be.
Yeah. We don't know. We got concept art of these of 7 characters standing in a straight line. There's not a lot we can...
Isn't that the most fun thing about, not our job, but our podcast here is, just make erroneous, just hard stamped opinions on a picture that we saw.
Hey, man, that's the internet. That's especially comic book internet.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're here to do.
Hell yeah. That's why we pod about it. But also Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
The trailer drop for Secret Invasion. Looks cool.
Yeah, Secret Invasion is when it was announced a while ago. It was announced in the original slate of along with Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and that stuff. I wasn't super I didn't really care. I think what they've done with the Skrulls so far
that's why I didn't care. That's why I didn't care so much about it, because the Skrulls are so involved in Captain Marvel, and that's one of my least favorite Marvel movies. My favorite part of Captain Marvel was Brie Larson's 9 Inch Nails t-shirt in the movie. But the trailer kind of hooked me though.
Yeah, I think it looks really interesting.
Yes. You were saying earlier it looks almost more spy thriller than what...
Yeah, they're going very espionage, very sneaky, really playing into the secret government agency that is, well, not S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore, now it's S.W.O.R.D., but the things that Nick Fury's involved in and sort of what, because I am interested to see... I'm switching points because I was going nowhere with what I was saying at
Once
first.
Again, that's why the pod's great.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see how they spin evil Skrulls, because they've only showed us good ones. We've not seen a bad Skrull in the MCU at all. And now they're but they're taking over the government. It's now why is that a bad thing, though? Because they've been fine up until this point.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched Captain Marvel, but the main Skrull was Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's just always been a bad guy.
Yeah.
So he was a good guy in that, right?
He was a neutral guy.
I thought he went from bad to good.
Well, we all thought he was bad, but then he was the Skrulls aren't here to be bad. We're here to help you guys. We're here to save the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Skrulls are shown further working with the good guys with S.H.I.E.L.D. in Spider-Man Far From Home, where Nick Fury, being off-planet working with S.W.O.R.D. up in space, has left Skrulls in his and Maria Hill's place to cover for them while they're gone. So it's you contributed to the Secret Invasion. Nick, this is your fault.
Yeah, how was this a secret to you, buddy?
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah, you signed off on this.
He's like that SpongeBob meme where it's Nick Cage, Nick Fury trying to figure out who let the Secret Invasion happen, and he's got the wanted poster, and it's him. But yeah, so interested in that.
I'll definitely check it out.
We didn't have a lot to babble about prior to our review. Anything else you want to touch base on?
Just real quick, last episode I touched on the fact that Sly Cooper's 20th anniversary was coming up. That is today. That is right now.
That's
September
so awesome.
23rd marks 20 years since Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus released on PlayStation 2 in North America. And I won't ramble on too long, but Sly Cooper is a series that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
It's the reason I got into video games in the first place. Me and my dad have a lot of good memories with it. And it's nice to see him celebrated on his 20th birthday. We didn't get any new game announcements as much as we would have loved and hoped for.
Right.
But they did way more than I thought they would. I genuinely expected a tweet oh, it's
happy
Sly's.
20 years,
happy 20 years to Sly. But no, we got a whole new line of merch.
Yeah.
We got a custom-made they made a custom logo for Sly's 20th. It's the Sly logo with the big 20 years.
It raises an eyebrow.
It does. It does. But it's a slick t-shirt and then this gorgeous print of the police station from Sly 1 with all the floors just full of Easter eggs and references.
That poster, can you get it in various sizes, different sizes?
They have
or is it like one size?
Like it's just one size, I'm pretty sure. Well, they have two versions of it, right? They have just like a poster that you would like get from Walmart,
right?
Sort of in that size for like
something like that.
Size. Yeah. Yes, audience, something like this size. This this Steelers football 1933 poster on Hunter's wall.
Yeah, I don't know what size that is, but it's like the most stock.
Close your eyes size. And imagine what you think that poster looks like.
We've all been there. You're in Spencer's Gifts looking through their posters and they're all hanging.
But then they have which are sold out now. People snagged them up because they only made 40 of them. But they had really large, like direct from the art, reprinted, like $200 collector's edition versions of it. But the main version you can get right now on PlayStationGear.com, not sponsored, is $25, normal poster size. And then you can get the shirt, which it's all pre-order. All this stuff is shipping in November.
Yeah.
And they also announced a Sly Cooper plushie, which is the second one we've ever gotten. But the first one is really jank and didn't look very good. It had like a weird art style to it. This one looks
nice.
No, this one's really nice, pretty high quality. It's not up for pre-order yet, but you can sign up to be notified when it goes up for pre-order.
That's so funny.
Yeah, which is really funny. But yeah, so happy 20th birthday to Sly Cooper. Thank you to Kevin Miller, Matt Olson, and Chris, who are the voice actors for Sly, Bentley, and Murray, respectively. I'm sorry, I don't remember Chris's last name. I feel dumb now, but
you already went above and beyond, in my opinion. Brett,
shout out those guys.
He, we're more of a movie podcast, obviously, but I believe in our pilot episode we touched base on the fact that we kind of came up with the name Real Rendezvous.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a pretty decent Sly Cooper fan, nowhere near as big of a fan as Brett is. But I also really, really have a lot of love and nostalgia for the second game in particular. But we came up with the word rendezvous just because of its importance in the Sly Cooper franchise. And, as Brett said, I don't know if you quite said this earlier, but we're hoping, maybe this will kickstart a fifth game.
Yeah. I'm really...
Anything.
Yeah. Really... All I want, like, honestly, I don't really even think we need a fifth game.
I just want something remastered.
Yeah, just release the old games for us to play natively on the PlayStation 5. Because they dropped all the PS3 games onto their PlayStation. Well, now it's just PlayStation Plus, but before it was PlayStation Now. And you can only play them through streaming. Yeah, and it sucks. It's bad.
It looks shitty.
It doesn't work.
I remember trying to play 3 on there, and it just...
There's so much input lag. Yeah. It's like you either need godly internet or something like that. Just release them natively. Or they're on this big PC kick. God of War is on PC. Horizon Forbidden West is on PC. Both Spider-Man games are on PC. With Spider-Man Jesus Christ. With Spider-Man Miles Morales releasing...
My son, it's all right.
Later, he descends from the heaven. He's like, I will clear you of your fogged mind.
Nobody cares about your stammering right there. They're still just impressed that you use the word natively so well.
But... just throw the games on PC. Just any way for us to play them that isn't dog shit.
Yeah, come on, man.
So, but I'm glad
I'm not
going to
play them on PC because I don't have a PC. Yeah. But for my man Brett,
I would.
Like, let's get it together.
But
hey, if we're going to talk about video games, I want to drop one little thing. Since I had a daughter, I've been slacking pretty hard on playing video games. But I just messaged Brett the other day and saw where Deathloop is being released on Xbox. So I'm going to probably hop on that. It was developed by Arcane Studios.
It was Bethesda.
Bethesda, which I love. I thought Arcane also did it because they made Dishonored.
Oh, then probably.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm real bad when it comes to video games in terms of publishers versus developers.
Right. I might be a liar.
But it is the Dishonored guys, because it plays exactly like Dishonored.
Yeah, and I really love...
They're basically the same game, like, skeletal-wise.
I really love the first 2 Dishonored games, in case anybody was wondering. But yeah, I'll be jumping on that too. So yeah, developed by Arcane.
Okay, yeah. And then published by Bethesda?
Published by Bethesda.
Okay. Yeah, I have trouble when it comes to studios in the world of gaming.
We're all still impressed with your world of gaming knowledge, so do not fret, my friend Brett.
That was...
Just like how I spat that out.
Eminem's been real quiet since that dropped.
That's right, dude. Nobody wants these bars. What do you think, Brett? You think we should try and hop on this review here?
I think we'll jump into Blade 2.
We've rambled some.
We have.
Usually we ramble even more.
Yeah.
We're doing all right.
It feels like we went longer than we actually did.
Yeah.
That was only 26 minutes.
That's not too bad. We're doing good. We're doing great. We didn't have as much content to ramble about prior to anyway. So
I wonder if there's anyone out there who listens just for like to catch up on stuff they missed in like the world of pop culture, and then like they leave for the movie. They're like,
that's a bummer.
They're like, all right.
I feel like some of our
they've caught me up. I'm done.
like the Punisher review. I feel like that's like a shitty movie, and that's our most popular review.
Yeah, I have no idea, guys. The Punisher review has surpassed 7,500 views on YouTube. I don't know.
Didn't know y'all love Thomas Jane that much.
I mean,
maybe we just need to review more Thomas Jane movies.
Fun fact about that. I don't know if you knew this. I saw a TikTok the other day that touched light on this. In the scene where he stabs the bad guy in like the collarbone, it's not a prop knife. It was supposed to be a prop knife, but the props got mixed up, and he just straight up stabbed that guy in the shoulder.
No shit. The Russian fight scene.
Yes.
Yeah, where he stabs. Yes. That's Kevin Nash, dude.
Yes. He stabbed him in the shoulder for real.
Okay,
and they kept it in the movie.
Let's be honest, dude. Kevin Nash is built different.
And he took it like a champ. He was
that guy was a huge fan cast for cable back in the day. I don't know if I showed you like pictures of what he looks like, like when he was in the WWE and shit. That's awesome. Yes. I love that.
So in honor of all the love that the Punisher review has been getting on YouTube, that's a little fun fact for you that we didn't know about when we recorded that episode.
I like to think that review gets so much love because we accurately reviewed it so well. Like, people just know that movie's like 80% shit, but then some really awesome scenes.
The last episode's been doing fairly well. Obviously not on like the level that the Punisher, because I think the way YouTube's algorithm works is really weird.
Yeah.
And it definitely pushes... They probably saw the word Punisher and were like, oh, Marvel? Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get that out there.
Hey, maybe we'll get lucky with Blade here.
Maybe. But you know, the last episode's been doing pretty good on YouTube too. We're up to 45 subscribers.
All right.
We'll shout it out again in the socials, but we do upload all the episodes on YouTube. They're all nice and pretty there. Newly added feature. I added a nice little audio bar for give you something to look at while you're listening. It's very nice. I love finding new things to make the YouTube sort of pop.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll get a nice camera set up.
Yeah, and then
whenever we get rich and famous.
Oh, for sure. Guys, get on that.
Okay, so here we go. Blade 2, released in 2002, directed by Guillermo Del Toro. You like that? You like that pronunciation?
That was nice.
I love Guillermo Del Toro. One of my favorite movies of all time is his Hellboy films. This movie is starring Wesley...
me too. I love David Harbour.
Pain. I do love David Harbour, though. This movie stars Wesley Snipes in the lead role as Blade, Chris Christopherson, Ron Perlman, and a young Norman Reedus, still in his youth. This movie's budget was $54 million. Its U.S. gross was $82 million. And its worldwide gross was $155 million. So this movie made some bank.
Yeah.
It was scored by Marco Beltrami, who is a Guillermo Del Toro favorite because he also scored the Hellboy franchise. I shouldn't say franchise. There was only two of them.
the Hellboy duology.
Yeah. I like. Hey, there you are with a good term again. Look at you. Look at the big brain on Brett.
I got my thesaurus right here in the chair next to me. Every time you look away, I'm over here.
Yeah, he's flipping through. Yeah. So, what else was I going to say? One other thing about Marco Beltrami is he actually also scored Scream, the original Scream movie. So, I'm a fan of him. We know how I love a score. I also know this has nothing to do with the score, but the soundtrack for this movie is so it's like 2002.
Crazy.
Yeah, I dig it though. There's some bops on it.
It's really funny.
So Brett, we'll start with just like a general overview of this. So we talked about how we've both like individually watched the original 1998 Blade movie recently. You want to touch base on that just a little bit here?
Yeah.
Give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, the original Blade movie, I thought was really good. It actually surprised me. I watched it at Hunter's behest.
I love the first Blade movie.
I flipped through my thesaurus again. But Hunter was always telling me, he was like,
I'm gonna write these down.
He's like, dude, you got to watch Wesley Snipes' Blade, which obviously, is something I always knew about because you're just in that space. Everyone knows about Wesley Snipes' Blade.
That's his big.
The singular card. Wesley Snipe. I saw a tweet the other day. It was like someone made a post and they were like, "There was only one blueberry in my blueberry muffin," and someone replied and said, "Well, it's not called a blueberries muffin, is it?"
Wesley Snipe.
But and I finally sat down. It was on HBO Max. It's not anymore because HBO Max is a dumpster fire right now.
Right.
But I watched it when it was still on HBO Max, and I was expecting like bad Daredevil level, old Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It really surprised me. Wesley Snipes did a great job as Blade. I liked the story. The action was really good. And it had a few like, this is an old Marvel movie things, but like overall it was just a good, like 2004's Punisher, Thomas Jane's Punisher. Like I went into it expecting a bad campy movie, and I left with just a nice, cool Marvel movie to watch again sometimes. I don't have any super strong opinions on it, but I'd watch it again. I liked it.
Yeah, I would watch The Punisher again only because it's got some like 3 or 4 really badass scenes in it. But to jump in and give my opinion on the original Blade, it's another movie that I just watched on repeat when I was young. And it's got this very dark undertone that obviously Marvel strayed away from for a long time, and still to a certain extent do today, being owned by Disney and all. But the first Blade took itself very seriously, and aside from a few little things, it kind of hits that note. It does a good job of being a dark, serious, atmospheric world, and it's its own self-contained world, and I really love Wesley Snipes' Blade. I think he just carries the character with so much charisma and personality that I think Wesley Snipes really just like acts like that 100% of the time anyway, probably. But the first Blade, like you said, great action sequences. I think a lot of the fight choreography is really cool in the first Blade. And it's got a couple iconic scenes too. Like everybody knows the opening sequence at the nightclub.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, with the water sprays that are like the bloodbath. But shift gears here. So originally what they were going to do for a sequel with Blade, and I think you told me this, there was supposed to be a deleted scene.
With Morbius.
Yes. And that got canned, and I don't know if that was due to the original director not wanting to be back on board, or they didn't bring him back, or what it was. But the franchise was picked back up by Guillermo Del Toro, who is originally from Spain and had already built up a pretty solid catalog of Spanish-made films. And I think this was maybe his big, like, American-made film debut. And the number one thing that I got to say about this movie is... if you've seen Guillermo del Toro movies, it's got his signature style and flair all over it. You know me, I'm a big Sam Raimi guy. I think we both are. And we love that you can tell that it's that director's movie. Why you got to throw my coasters all over the place, dog?
I didn't mean to throw the coasters. I was playing with them.
Brett's so excited to talk about this movie. He's tossing the coasters around the room.
Wait, where's the other one?
I don't know. I'll get it eventually. It'll be all right down there.
No, I only have 2.
It's not going there. I'm going to take those 2 away soon, too.
Why?
But anyways, so... The plot of this movie, which I did not write down, so I'm going to pull up on my phone real quick right now.
It is extremely straightforward.
Yeah, which is to its positive and negative forms here. Blade forms an uneasy alliance with the Vampire Council in order to combat combat the Reapers, who are feeding on vampires. Reapers are a new breed of vampire introduced in this film. So Brett, you just stated the obvious there. The plot is just like very straightforward.
Yeah, this movie has no B plot.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I kind of liked it. I think it worked for it. I think there is a time and place for side plots, and I think this movie...
Complexity.
Yeah, I don't think this movie wanted that.
Didn't need it.
No. They were like, hey, we need to stop this guy, and every second of this movie is them doing something that is moving them towards that end goal.
Yeah.
There is like no filler. Every scene is them talking about or doing something that is going to get them to what they are trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think it works. I think it makes for it felt very short. The movie's a little under 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it was an hour 56 maybe.
Yeah, it's a little under 2 hours, and you don't, it's like that. The movie really flies by.
I do think it breezes by, and if you've watched other Guillermo Del Toro movies, I think that's something he uses a lot. Now, I watched Nightmare Alley when it came out last year, or maybe the year before. I think it was last year. It's a lot more complex of a movie, but it is a character-driven film. It's not a big, flashy action sci-fi movie like this would be. But yeah, I agree. I think that this movie knows what it is.
Yeah.
And it executes that well. Almost to a detriment. Because I was telling Brett after we finished watching it, I turned and looked at it and was like, I still like it, but it's a lot cornier than what I remember.
Yeah, it is a far cry in a different direction than the first Blade was.
Yeah, and
it almost doesn't even feel like a sequel to the first one, because there's nothing really that this movie does or talks about that you need to have seen the first one to understand.
It does, but it tells you about it literally in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, it recaps everything that was in the first Blade in like 3 seconds, and then you don't need to know about it ever again. I kind of feel almost like it sort of feels like a soft reboot, which is kind of funny for the second movie of a franchise, but it definitely feels like a very soft reset. Like, you can definitely watch Blade 2 without ever having to have seen the first one, and you can get pretty much the same experience out of it.
And it's got a similar tone as the first one as far as the world it's established.
Yeah.
But it just, and we can jump into setting here also with this. Excuse me, you were drinking, I was burping. But we'll jump into setting here on this also to talk about it. This movie just has this really, really, really signature, I already said it, style and look to everything in the set design and character design that's really unique and really interesting and really believable. And if you've ever seen any of Guillermo Del Toro's other movies, you know that that's something that he cares about when creating a film, is a believable setting, a believable world, and interesting characters. At least the design. What did you think of the setting and the world here that's established?
I think they did a good job. Everything has a very...
It's like got that dark tone from the first one.
Yeah.
But as I said, just a little more campy. A little corny.
Yeah, a little more fun.
Yes, more fun.
There's the night scene. They have another nightclub in this one, and instead of being like a concrete prison shower with like blood sprinklers, it feels like a nightclub. There's neon lights. There's people like dressed for a nightclub. They all have these like funky goth, like rave outfits on.
It was like they took an old rundown church and like reconstructed certain things of it to turn it into a nightclub.
And then the main villain's evil lab has a lot of like, there's a giant blood fountain pool with like blood test tubes like carrying it somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a lot of it's cool to look at, but it's like it's all fun. It's more fun because the first one was a lot of dark alleys and then like gothic, like almost Batman 89-esque Tim Burton like.
I feel like the first one was very industrial and grays and like monochromatic colors, and this one almost has like a like an amber overtone to the image of everything, like a red and an orange, and it's not as industrial because, like we just said, it's like the nightclub scene, for example, is like this reconstructed Gothic church, and the Vampire Council's headquarters, as you said. There's all these like really extravagant like set pieces that like turn it in. Like you got pipes here.
It's almost like sci-fi.
Yeah. It's like, what does that do?
Yeah.
It reminds me of whenever we talked about 79's Alien.
Yeah.
How creative they were with the set design. And I feel like this movie did the same shit.
Maybe not to that extent, because with Alien, it was well thought out to the point where like I could look at something and it's like
understand its purpose.
Yeah, I feel like the writers know what that did.
Right.
I don't think the people who made Blade 2 had any further thought behind, hey, wouldn't it be kind of sick if we put a big fucking blood pool in the middle of this room?
How dope would a big sprocket look on that wall?
Yeah, like, guys, how tight do you think neon red tubes pumping this blood through this wall right here?
Hey, Guillermo, not saying anything, but just saying, it would be really cool if we had about 28 giant spotlights in Blade's lair. Like, let's put them up there. A wall of light.
Yeah.
And then they can just fight with a silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
definitely what it feels like.
I already kind of said it a little bit. I really dig the character design here, too, though. I think Blade might have the worst character design, to be honest.
Yeah, they gave him these really weird, like you were saying, these weird spiky chest belt buckles that he did not have in the first movie.
Yeah, and his costume design was already perfect in the first movie. They didn't have to change much, and they did, and they kind of ruined it. Not ruined it, but...
Yeah, no, he still looks fine, but they put some unnecessary extra details on there that he just didn't really need.
He's still got the sweet haircut, the sweet glasses, the cool tattoos, but... Yeah, just a couple little flares, and I was telling Brett also, if you catch it, he's got a little bit of red incorporated in his trench coat, and then something I really don't like about Blade Trinity is they incorporate even more red into his color scheme, and I just don't like it.
I don't know how well it plays in Blade Trinity, because again, I haven't seen it. I'm watching these through by through. Hunter, I love when we get on here and Hunter's like, yeah, this movie was a big part of my childhood. I grew up watching it in the theaters. I had it on repeat, and I'm like, I watched it today. 20 minutes ago, I saw this movie for the first time.
Well, I mean,
but
thanks for reminding me how old I am.
I almost prefer Blade with a little bit of red in him.
Okay.
I think when I think of Blade, red and black is what I think of. And maybe that's because of Blade Trinity. Maybe it's because... He's got a bit more red in the comics nowadays. Like his sunglasses nowadays have red lenses, sort of like a Matt Murdock thing. But I do prefer a little more red than just all black and silver. So that's not something I took too much issue with.
Some of the other character designs, though, I think are really awesome. I know right off the bat when the main villain Nomak shows up, you were like, his coat's sweet.
Yeah, he's got a sweet coat. One of touching on character design. When the vampire scouts come in for the first time in their like ninja outfits, those things are tight. Yeah. I said it reminded me of the Talon from DC Comics.
Yeah.
The Court of Owls, they're like mercenaries.
Yes.
Yeah, and like just the way the lenses work, like when he flicked on his wall of...
They dilate.
Yeah, they close to hide from it, and then they opened back up and they were like switched to like a more protective thing, I'd assume.
Yeah, those
guys look really sick.
Those are some of the coolest costume
and
designs.
And then they never put them on again.
And then, excuse me, about 2/3 of the way through the movie, Blade and his group of vampire slayers that were originally sent to slay Blade join up with him, the Blood Pack, and they all don this really interesting looking armor.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd y'all get that matching shit? But it looks cool.
It looks sick. One of the characters paints like a Japanese symbol on it.
Donnie Yen, my guy.
Donnie Yen.
This is an early appearance in an American film from Donnie Yen.
And it really reminded me of Takeda. I told Hunter, I said the armor they're wearing, and it's all the same armor, so it all looked like Takeda's armor.
But each character kind of had his own individual
it was a little
flair
different,
on it.
yeah. But his specifically, because with the markings on it and stuff, it looked a lot like Takeda from Mortal Kombat X, which I think is already a really cool design. But like all of their armor was like, where did they get it? Right. But it looked really sick.
Yeah, so that's something that I feel is a big plus in this movie, and kind of really boost the overall rating I'll probably end up giving it. Other than that, characters, which we already talked about the character design, which we dig hardcore, and the actors here. There's actually some kind of decent sized names in here, bigger than Wesley Snipes, being like Ron Perlman and Norman Reedus being young. I think the characters are all pretty cool for the most part too. Be it that they are kind of one dimensional. I think that the only type of alteration to any character's one dimensionalness. Trying to match Brett's big words here, and I'm failing bad.
One dimensionality. Yeah,
which is something that we both were kind of like, ugh. Was they kind of tried to give a love interest angle for Blade here, and it kind of sucked.
Yeah, one of my least favorite things in movies is forced love interests. This is one of the very small problems I had with the Batman. Actually, is I think it would have been great if they let that chemistry hang and then they part ways. I think the kiss in the Batman felt super out of place.
Yeah.
Especially where it was in the movie and where Selina and Bruce's characters were at. They would not have just started making out at that moment.
Yeah.
Selina's girlfriend just died, and then she finds Bruce and she's like, what if we kissed? Like, I think their chemistry was great, but I don't think they had enough of it up until that point in the movie to warrant that kiss.
Could have just leveled out with tension.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would have been great. But it's so bad in Blade 2 because it's like they flicked the light switch. The entire first half of the movie, he's like, she shows up and they start trying to kill him. Yeah. And then she's like, wait, we're actually here to help. And then he's like, I guess. And the whole movie, he's like, I don't want to work with you guys, stupid vampires. I should be killing all of you. And it's not even like a moment. They don't even have a moment. There's just a scene where for some reason he throws in a line. He's like, when the bombs go off, get yourself safe.
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Yeah.
What? You want her dead. She's a vampire. That's your job, Blade.
Yeah.
It was just super weird.
If there's something I also just don't really care for is her character in general just seems like they didn't dedicate, for somebody that lasted so deep into the film.
Yeah.
They didn't dedicate any time to construct her as a better character anyway.
No.
And maybe that would have been a little bit better for the forced relationship or, potential thereof if she'd just been a cooler character.
Yeah. And it's especially weird since Blade's previous love interest from the first movie
just falls off the face of the earth.
Yeah, is not mentioned, it does not show up. She never existed. That sort of adds to the sort of soft reboot feel I got from the movie because it's like they retconned an entire character in the span of one film.
And that's one of the other things I really enjoy about that first one that I told you while we were watching was, the first one I think does a pretty good job of letting him and her relationship in the first movie just kind of level out as tension. There's no real... It's almost like there's not even a real love interest there. There is slightly, but not really. It's almost as if she reminds him of his mom.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of flashback sequences in that first film with his mother. Yeah. And
their chemistry has grown naturally. Like, he starts out apprehensive of her, and then you get to see him open up to her as opposed to, like, completely stone-faced, don't care. One scene later, he's like, actually, I'm in love with you.
And it's like you said, too.
I can't let anything happen to you.
He's dedicated his life to vanquishing vampires. She's a pure-blood vampire in this film.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was really out of place. In terms of... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Cut you off.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to lightly touch on, while we're on the topic of one-note characters, like you said, the entire Blood Pack, two of them matter.
Yeah, and I think that's a difficult task in a 2-hour movie to flesh out 8 characters.
But then it's like, why even have 8? Why not cut it down?
That's what's most frustrating about it is, we were just talking about how cool each individual character is. And they are. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
They each, it's almost like you would watch a TV series about the Blood Pack.
I would. And I loved how they each had their own specialized weapon. Like that one dude had a big hammer.
I want to know where he's from. I want to know how him and red-haired girls
He had that Ronin mask tattoo on his face.
I want to know what their relationship is.
And that goes back to the cool designs. We completely forgot to touch on that guy.
Yeah, we only talked about Donnie Yen. Yeah. I mean, I even told you, like, the one guy, Chupa, Like this dude kind of has like some immense drip. He's got like
he's wearing a chainmail t-shirt over like a wife beater.
Yeah. And then he's got like some like shitty tattoo on his right shoulder, but then he's got gold fangs and blonde like mohawk.
Yeah. And he had frosted tips.
Yeah. Kind of stud, dude. I just feel like you said, they don't flesh any of these characters out, and it could have been cooler like that. At the same time, though, it's just hard to do with a 2-hour movie.
They all, spoiler alert for Blade 2, all of them die anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think a single member of the Blood Pack survived.
How cool would it be if this was a movie that came out like now, not now particularly, but as build up for this film? Let's say you had a Blade 1, and then, 3 years between Blade 1 and Blade 2, they'd have like a TV miniseries all about the Blood Pack
really
trying
cool.
to hunt down Blade.
Yeah, that'd be tight.
And I feel like that would be interesting. And, that's once again just Guillermo Del Toro having cool characters, just not particularly fleshed out in the way they act and, who they are individually.
Here's a question, and this is an actual question that I'm asking you. The guy that
most questions are.
Well, yeah, but I meant, like, it's not rhetorical where I'm going to be mean to the movie. I'm like, I genuinely don't know. The guy that came in with Nessa, the other vampire guy who was like...
Assad was his name, I believe.
Yeah. Did he die and I missed it, or does he just disappear from the movie?
He died whenever he got, like, drug underwater.
Okay, that was him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking back, I was like, where did he go? Did I miss him dying? And I didn't miss the scene, but I didn't realize it was him that they grabbed. Okay, thank you.
So we kind of jumped through everything here, other than the production and the direction. We can jump on that. I wrote down plot, and I already kind of read what the theme was.
Yeah.
And we said it was very one-dimensional.
Yeah,
do you feel like we need to talk any more about what the overall plot is?
Stop. Okay.
Blade,
we'll talk a little bit about it.
Blade, yeah, I feel like we breezed through it kind of fast, but really...
There's not much to talk about.
Yeah, Blade is invited by the Vampire Council to come meet with them because there's a new breed of vampires known as Reapers, and they're killing all the regular vampires. And so they ask Blade for help, essentially. And very one-dimensional, like you said. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of tries to throw a curveball in like the third act. It's not a curveball really at all. Spoiler alert, the vampires were behind it the whole time. They created the Reaper virus.
I still really don't know what the Grand Vampire's plan was.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get back on the plot, because for such a one-dimensional plot, that end scheme was still kind of like...
Yeah, I don't understand.
The fuck?
He created the Reapers. He created the Reapers to be this next generation of perfect vampires.
Right.
All the strengths, none of the weaknesses. He wanted an army of daywalkers, basically, with, like, they had bone armor, so they couldn't get their hearts pierced. They were immune to silver. Last thing he was working on was making them immune to the daylight. I just realized what his plan was.
What, just now talking about it?
Yes, it just occurred to me. He needed Blade because he was taking his blood out to, like, figure out what makes him immune to sunlight so that he could put it in the Reapers.
Yeah, I believe
that's why he got Blade involved.
Yeah.
That was my thing. I was like, because they created the vampire, they created the Reapers, and then they were like, Blade, the Reapers are bad, you got to stop them. I was like, why would you even invite him? He wouldn't have known about any of this if you would have just left him alone.
Yeah, and that also is like, okay, so if all you wanted was Blade, why didn't you just send the Reapers to go get Blade?
Yeah, why didn't you just kidnap him? Why did you kill 90% of your guys that you wanted to exist just so you could get him to... And they didn't even, like, take him to the room naturally. They were like, okay, now we got to go into their... We found out about this lab. We got to get in there. I think that's where they're making them. They take them to the sewers. They kill a ton of Reapers, let thousands of their soldiers die, and then they just knock him out and take him there themselves. It's like, why didn't you start by knocking him out and take him up there?
Well, I think one thing, though, that you are missing is that the lead Reaper, who is the main villain, Bram Stoker's Dracula-looking head ass, Nosferatu ass, his illegitimate son, Nomak, he is kind of rogue. He was the patient zero for the Reaper virus.
Yeah.
And so he's like the carrier that infects everyone. He's like the queen bee. he's rogue in this movie, whereas he is infecting people, but he doesn't particularly want to overtake humanity. He hates the vampire race for doing what they did to him, turning him into a monster and an outcast. And I think that's kind of part of why he had to take the long way around the barn to get to Blade, is because of the role Nomak played. But yeah, that's why I brought it up again, just because I think that's a detriment for this film, is being such a one-dimensional plot. It still kind of is booty cheeks, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
But let's jump back down to production and direction and just general execution of the film. For the flaws that it does have, this movie drips in style, which we've already talked about ad nauseum. And I think there's some pretty great action sequences.
Oh, yeah.
And like the special effects are really dope in this. I know there's some janky CGI, but bear with me here. All the prosthetics are cool. And then also, I wanted to bring this up to you in that final fight sequence between Nomak and Blade. There's some janky CGI, but I think they fuse some pretty good CGI with prosthetics, with the way the Reaper's jaws open up and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, the Reapers have these predator-ass, gross, like, split-at-the-chin mandibles that open up to reveal this
They're disgusting.
Gross
tentacle tongue with, like, barbs on it.
Yeah, it looks like a sarlacc pit coming up out of their mouth. My problem with the CGI wasn't even with them. It's anytime Blade does a flip,
it's CGI.
He turns into a PlayStation 3 character model. But what I thought you were saying about how they blend the CGI with practical shots, anytime he lands, it's really seamless of him coming down and then being real again. There's no cut. Yeah. Like most movies, they do the CGI guy would flip. It would like cut to a different scene,
and then come back,
and he'd be landed. But in this one, you get to see that whole arc, and then it's just seamless. When he lands on the ground, Wesley Snipes is back. The rubber man is gone.
Yeah,
I thought that looked pretty good, but they definitely, it wasn't right at the time to have fully CGI people.
I think for 2002 CGI, it's really not that bad.
It definitely could have been worse,
yeah. I think there's a lot worse that came out more recent than that.
Oh,
and, like I said, I think it's actually executed pretty well for the most part. And I think that the direction, Guillermo Del Toro could have probably... I know that he's done better story work, and he could have done better with this. But then again, I didn't even look to see what his writing credits were and who else was involved. What else did you think as far as production and direction? I mean, we already said the story kind of sucks, but we like everything else.
There wasn't any shots that stood out to me as like great cinematography.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
But there was a lot of really neat camera movements. I don't know. I'll show my ass here for a second. I haven't seen a ton of Guillermo Del Toro movies, so I don't actually have a huge grasp on what his signature style. No, I have not seen either.
You dig it a lot. I'm telling you. You would.
I feel like I would. It's just one that I haven't gotten around to.
It takes everything interesting in that movie with like the character design, set design, world building, and turns it up more, but with cooler characters that you like more.
That's sick.
Like it's not, and you would think like all that cool shit needs to be rated R. It's PG-13 and still like really, really out there as far as what it creates. We need to watch that sometime too.
We definitely will. That's really cool to hear. But what I'm sort of talking about is he's got these really snappy, quick, like almost adds a whoosh sound effect to the camera to make it feel faster.
Yeah.
Where it's just like whoosh, and it's like really snappy. And then there's a few shots that are done as if like we're the person with the camera. There's a shot in particular in one of the scenes where it's like up in the rafters and it's like instead of just being a plain stable panning shot from above, it's like sometimes the camera will dip down like obscuring the characters under the rafters, like we're up there with the camera crawling around the mic, crawling around with the camera, and I think that looked really good.
To elaborate on that, in that opening fight sequence where he first is going to find Whistler, which I think is one of the weaker fight sequences in the movie, when he does jump down on the pavement and he's doing battle with the guys on the motorcycles. the whole scene where he introduces his little like boomerang thing.
Yeah.
And the camera follows it around like for a whole minute or so. That's pretty cool. Even though the boomerang thing's obviously CGI.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty cool sequence.
That's another thing I like about both movies. I think Blade's gadgets are all really neat. Like they're like his like Jesus, I try and talk too fast and my brain can't keep up with the words I'm trying to get out of my mouth. I apologize. But his like Krambit boomerang things that you were just talking about, I always thought those were really cool. I also love that he's got just a hole cut in his trench coat for where the sword goes.
Yeah.
I think that looks really funny. And then and this goes back to like the design aspect where it's like, I don't know if they really thought about why it looks like that, but Ron Perlman, I don't know his character's name.
Reinhardt. It was Reinhardt.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite Overwatch character.
There you go.
Reinhardt's guns have this really cool design to them.
With they got like sickle on them.
Yeah, I thought that looked really neat.
Something I was going to say about Blade, all three of the Blade movies, he has his own like signature handgun. The first one is that gun that looks like a VCR tape.
Yeah.
It's like big and square.
And which makes an appearance in this movie.
Yes, it does. It has some significance. And then in this one, it almost looks like a miniature AK-47. It's got like a magazine sticking out of the front of it.
Yeah.
And then in the third one, he has an even different handgun that he uses. And it's kind of cool. Like you said, he just has interesting gadgets. I still love...
I love the UV bombs. I thought those were really cool.
And your boy Scud introduces us to some cool gadgets.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Scud.
Yeah, Norman Reedus.
He doesn't, he's not super integral. I mean, technically he is, but like in terms of the movie, watching it, Well,
he's like Blade's tech guy while Whistler's gone.
Yeah. He's Norman Reedus does a great job. Yeah. I really liked Scud's character, and then they fumble the bag at the end, and he's got this dumb... evil, I was the bad guy monologue.
I like it, dude.
He's got a cool line.
I love the way he dies. That's like one of my favorite deaths in the entire franchise.
It is funny. It's very
like because it's like Blade just letting his nuts hang like he always does. Like 2 things: 1, I've been on to you, and 2,
it wasn't a dud.
It's not a dud.
He blows him up.
Yeah.
He did have a cool line where he was like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was like. It was along because he's a familiar, which is basically humans that pledge themselves to vampires.
Yeah,
and he had a line. He was like, "When those things take over, I'd rather be a lapdog than prey," or something like that.
I'd rather be a lapdog than cattle.
That's what it was, cattle. Which is that's on it. That's a genuine stance I could see someone taking.
Yeah, you almost can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, except he was working with the guy who was going to kill all of them and stop the invasion anyway. But whatever. Whatever you say, Scud. You do what you got to do. But I did really like his character. Norman Reedus played it pretty well. Norman Reedus, I think, should be in more stuff.
And like you said, he's just kind of like a cool, easy person to root for because he like
also
the fun.
Had some drip.
Yeah, he's just more awesome costume design, character design. But he's like always watching like Powerpuff Girls while he's like building tech and working on shit.
He always nicknames everyone just by calling them the first letter of their name.
Yeah, Yo B.
Yeah. He kind of reminds me, he's kind of like the predecessor to Jesse Pinkman. Pinkerman? The guy from Breaking Bad.
Never watched Breaking Bad.
Neither have I, but I know what Jesse's character is like, and Scud reminds me a lot of what Jesse is in Breaking Bad.
Okay.
He's Blade's Jesse.
I got you.
If Blade is Walter White,
I got
Scud is Jesse Pinkerman.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston is Blade. That's interesting. One other thing that I want to say I do really love is the back and forth between Blade and Ron Perlman's character Reinhardt in this movie. Wesley Snipes is in his bag every time he's like comparing dick sizes with Reinhardt. He's got like a great...
Dude loses every altercation there.
Yeah, like Blade is such an alpha Chad, like it's unreal. But I love that. Just had to touch base on that real quick.
Also, I guess the Scud reveal answered my question, because I assume since they were working together, Reinhardt would have known that the bomb was supposed to be a dud.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Right, because so Wesley Snipes' Blade sticks a bomb to the back of Reinhardt's head, and he's like, "Fuck with me, and I'm blowing your head up." Yeah, that whole sequence.
That's
another thing I was gonna say. this movie doesn't have as many funny Blade moments as the first one did. Yeah. He doesn't have as many like funny lines.
Well, he has that one part where he almost wrecks into his own Charger.
Yeah,
he blows it a kiss.
No, they're still there, but I didn't notice them as much as notice them as much. But there's just not as many.
The first one he has way more.
Yeah, but that whole sequence where he's just dogging on Reinhardt in front of his gang.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
that's one of the best scenes in the movie.
But he sticks a bomb to the back of this guy's head, and then the whole movie he continues to like pretend that he can't blow his head up. And I guess it's because he probably would have known since they're working together. But before I knew that, I thought it was dumb that he would still try and step up to Blade as if he hasn't been belittled every single time.
Yeah. Well, I guess we kind of like already jumped around with everything we could with this movie. Brett, you want to give a final thought and rating here?
Yeah. Blade 2 was a very fun movie to watch. I don't necessarily know if I'd watch it again over other stuff.
How would you compare it to the first one?
I am more inclined to rewatch this one than I would the first one.
What?
Just because it's more fun. It
is more fun.
It's more fun to laugh at, which granted, maybe that's not fair because that's almost a negative, because like
that's not true. Well, sometimes you just gotta sit down, and I know you don't drink beer, but you just gotta sit down, drink a few beers, and laugh at something.
Well, what I said to Hunter, it's almost on the same level as Ben Affleck's Daredevil in terms of like just weird, goofy shit going on.
Yeah, this is definitely better than that movie, but I can totally see where you're coming from.
It's definitely a better movie, but they're in the same ballpark.
Right, I see where you're coming from.
But it's not a bad movie. It's got a simple story with good action, a few funny moments. It's not a movie I'd like write home about. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's one of those movies where like, we found stuff to talk about. But if one of my friends was like, "Hey Brett, what do you think about Blade 2?" I'd be like, "Oh, yep, it's a fun movie.
Like, it's all right."
Yeah, like you should watch it.
Yeah, like Wesley Snipes is cool.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give it... Are we jumping into the score?
Go ahead, yeah.
All right, I think I'm going to give Blade 2
I didn't write mine down, so don't even look. I'm going off pure heart here.
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
That's where I'm standing with it. The first Blade is a 7, by the way.
Damn, I want to go with 6 out of 10
in case you were curious, the first Blade is a 7, this one is a 6.
I kind of want to go with 6 as well.
I was not expecting that. I figured you'd go low 8.
I would have wanted to go higher, but like I said, after we watched it, I remember it better, being a better movie. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of like problems with the characters' interactions. There was a lot of cringe, like corny stuff happening that I don't remember being cringe.
Yeah.
Which granted, the first Blade has some cringe in it too, but it just takes itself more seriously and looks better.
Yeah.
I don't know. With that said, though, I second everything you said. It's a popcorn flick that has like really...
That's a really good term for it. Popcorn flick. Can we...
It's like a good fall. It's like a good fall, like getting ready for Halloween time. Popcorn flick. You watch some violence and there's some spooky stuff in it. The Reapers are pretty scary, and that looks like a Reaper over there on the wall.
Yeah, there are some brutal scenes in this movie.
My Nails poster over there on the wall looks kind of like a...
Oh yeah,
like
really
a Reaper
does.
got shot in the face. Yeah. But anyway, it's one of my heavy metal posters for everybody to know. But anyways, I think I'm gonna stand firm with you at 6, man. You can watch it just to laugh at and have fun, but also, if you're a Blade fan, you like some cool, sci-fi horror adjacent shit.
Yeah,
you can get into this. If you like the first Blade, you'll probably like this.
Yeah.
It goes downhill after this one for Trinity. But
so I've heard.
Yeah. I will say, though, if you just, for a second, picture it as Wade Wilson teaming up with Blade prior to getting cancer, then you'll love the movie that much more. But yeah, I'm going to sit with you at 6, man.
All right.
We're on
even
par
playing
here.
field, 6 out of 10 for Blade 2.
Yeah.
Here's hoping Mahershala Ali does a pretty good job. I'm excited for him.
I think they will be very serious.
I think
they're going to try and be super dark and serious, which I can dig.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali. He is the lead in True Detective season 3, which I've not watched, but everybody really enjoyed season 3. So I might watch that, like, you know, to prep and get a vibe for what kind of actor he is.
I've only ever seen him in Luke Cage.
Oh, really?
He was the main bad guy in season 1 of Luke Cage.
He's a bad guy in Alita Battle Angel, but he's like just got sparing screen time, so I can't even like gauge what kind of actor he is in that. Just a scary dude with glasses the whole movie. But yeah, so 6 out of 10. We're on par.
We are.
I wonder when we have been on par. Not often.
Not a whole ton. We're not usually super off of each other. But
Right. I was tempted to go 6.5 just to be different, but I was like, nah, man, Brett's right. 6 out of 10 is pretty fair.
I really like the term popcorn flick. I'm gonna have to use that more often to describe movies I don't have a ton to
You've
say
never heard
about.
that before?
No,
really?
No.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, there's some movies out there that are just like not great movies, but they're big, over the top.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah, you just have fun watching them. So like how I said The Mummy earlier.
Yeah.
That's just such a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Like you just sit there and have fun. So turn the brain off.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about that before.
We have.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm sure this episode went longer than what we anticipated.
It actually might end up being one of our shortest. We're at an hour 10 right now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's what we wanted. So next pod, Brett, are we picking a movie?
We are not. Next pod, we're doing the fan cast one.
Okay.
I'm really excited.
Now, what are we fan casting again?
Just anything you want.
Hunter's a dad. He forgets what we were doing.
Anything you want.
So
just pick some characters, and then we'll go through.
We're just gonna rattle off 10 each, like.
Yeah, we can do 10.
Okay, or 5, or however you want to.
Yeah, just I don't have any.
Look, buddy, it's your choice.
I don't have any strong opinions on the format. I just want to talk about who I'd like to play certain characters.
I'm gonna put the ball in your court, and you give me the format, and we'll fucking. Go
I'll flesh it out a bit more in my head, and then I'll get back to
whenever we record that one too. I'd say we'll be able to brush up on some She-Hulk and some Andor, and I'm sure there'll be some other interesting bits and bobs to jump on.
Mm-hmm. I really like our more open-ended episodes where we just kind of pick a topic and talk about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Something else that I kind of want to look forward to and make sure we do is the month of October is approaching, and as I've said multiple times, we need to hit up at least we need to do a couple horror movie reviews.
Definitely.
So be looking out for that. Anybody that listens, if you're interested in a certain horror movie, let me know.
Oh, for sure.
We'll try and
always hit us up on our socials.
Yeah, for sure.
We want that engagement.
Yeah, because that's all this is us wanting to talk about shit we like.
Yeah.
So
and having more people to talk about that shit with,
no doubt.
That's what we're here for.
So with that said, Brett, you want to wrap up on the socials?
I do want to wrap up on the socials because I got some news. I do love wrapping up on the socials because I made it 100 times easier for both myself and you guys. So before, our Instagram was real_rendezvous_pod. I don't know why I did that. I think maybe Real Rendezvous was taken, all one word, but it's not anymore.
Hell
so
yeah.
Our Twitter and our Instagram are now both just Real Rendezvous, one word, super easy to find now.
And that's REEL.
Yeah, REEL, Rendezvous.
Yeah, Rendezvous.
You can Google that one.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
And then our YouTube, where we upload every episode, is The Real Rendezvous at youtube.com. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, and check us out on the other platforms.
Yeah, and hey, you can listen to us in your car as well.
Yeah.
If you have Spotify or Apple Podcast or iHeartRadio.
Give us a review too.
Yeah. So comment, hit us up on Twitter, tweet at us, DM us on Instagram, do whatever you want. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.